Shocking scene on Beijing streets. Every household skips New Year shopping online article. Beijing never this desolate gets banned. Outside the street service center in Chaoyang District, Beijing, there is a line of nearly 100 people. Dressed in thick coats, they slowly move forward. The voice in the video explains.
They are all selling blood, with a blood donation vehicle parked in the courtyard. 800 yuan for 200 cc and 1200 yuan for 300 cc.
China's economy continues to decline, with many foreign companies leaving and numerous private business closing down, leading to a wave of unemployment. As the new year approaches, wage arrears become more common, worsening the situation. Among the crowd selling blood, some struggle to pay rent, while others lack money to return home for the holidays. The video also shows the saddening sight of delivery drivers in yellow uniforms. Earlier, Beijing Youth Daily revealed that the main force of blood sellers in Beijing are often laborers and students, primarily driven by financial need. Now, more unemployed individuals are joining the ranks of blood sellers. Before Chinese New Year, Beijing not only lacked the usual surge in consumption, but also saw an unusual phenomena. More people opt to forgo traditional New Year goods such as special foods and snacks in order to save money. This dampens the festive atmosphere across the country. In recent years, more and more people aren't preparing New Year's goods anymore. I remember in the past, as the Chinese New Year approached, every house would buy lots of New Year goods, like stocking up on pork, filling the fridge with seafood, buying dumplings, frying meatballs, getting new clothes, you name it. We'd buy heaps of stuff in advance and have the festive New Year's atmosphere at home. But this year, with less than a month left until New Year's, when people come to our shop, several people say they're not preparing New Year's goods anymore. They say buying too much leads to waste. It's easier now to just buy what you want when you want it. After all, supermarkets don't close even during New Year's Eve. They're open every day. So why buy so much and keep it at home? Nowadays, celebrating New Year has become a formality. The festive atmosphere is fading. Nobody visits each other's homes for meals or pay New Year's visits anymore. It feels like it's lost its meaning.
Hello, today is already the 17th day of the 12th lunar month, January 27th. However, I've noticed a peculiar scene in Beijing this year. Many of the main consumers, who are migrants working in Beijing, are returning home unusually early this year. On the other hand, shop owners like us are persevering silently. None of us have gone home yet. The customers have already dwindled. This year feels different from previous years, especially prior to the Chinese New Year. I'm catching many physical store owners off guard with bleak business prospects.
China's economy is steadily declining, even in Beijing, where there's a strong sense of pessimism. Layoffs, salary cuts, factory closures, and shop closures are common, and there are many stories of middle-aged people losing their jobs. On January 28th, a video about a 38-year-old man from Beijing went viral. He was secretly delivering takeout to cope with child expenses and rent pressures after being laid off and was discovered by his wife. In the video, a woman is cleaning the house when she discovers a crumpled piece of paper under the bed. As she unfolds it, she is shocked to find a layoff notice with her husband's name and the company seal clearly printed on it, indicating that her husband had lost his job. What puzzles her is that since that day, her husband has been leaving early and returning late as usual, without any apparent change. Could it be that he deliberately hid it all from her? After dinner, as usual, her husband sits in front of the computer, holding the piece of paper. She approaches him and slaps it on the table, staring at him directly. "What's this? You've been laid off, haven't you? Are you still going to work?" Faced with his wife's questions, the husband reveals the truth. He has been delivering takeout since losing his job. But he didn't want his family to worry, so he chose to keep it a secret. His wife, in agitation, says, "Why didn't you tell me? We've been together for 15 years. Why can't we face together? If you're gone, can this family still function? We've been through everything together. After the new year, I'll go to work with you." The husband helplessly says,
They want people under 35. I'm 38. It's hard to find a job.
with tears, his wife says, "You bear everything alone. Can you really handle everything by yourself?" In the video, the wife sits on the small chair while her husband squats beside her. She consoles him. "With over 10 years of work experience, why can't you find a job? Are all your skills useless?" The husband continues.
I can't accept it either.
38-year-old graduate from reputable university laid off, hides job loss from wife to deliver takeout. Trended on Weibo on January 28th. While some doubted the authenticity of the video, many believed it reflected the real struggles middle-aged Chinese people face during this current economic downturn. Some people even claimed reality is harsher than depicted. The video has since been removed. Someone commented on X that the man in question was their colleague. He was indeed laid off, but received severance pay. He had been with the company for nearly 10 years and was in a project-related role, so his income wasn't low. Although the real estate industry was tough, the severance pay could sustain him for about half a year while he looked for another job.
Yesterday evening, I had dinner with a buddy of mine. Before the pandemic, he was the marketing director at a company, earning over 50,000 yuan a month, taking home more than 40,000 yuan. But now he's driving for Didi. He leaves home at 8 in the morning and comes back at 8 in the evening. How much does he earn in a day? Around 400 yuan. And that's in Beijing. It might be even harder in other places. After deducting 5,000 yuan for fuel and lunch expenses each month, he barely makes 300 yuan a day. This guy used to be full of spirit. We hadn't seen each other for 3 years, and when I saw him yesterday, he had white hair all over. He's only in his 40s, younger than me by a year, but he looks much older.
In fact, many industries in Beijing's capital are showing signs of decline. The once bustling Wangfujing Street has changed drastically. One person uploaded a video filmed on Wangfujing Street in Beijing showing that the once crowded pedestrian street is now sparsely populated. Dong'an Market and the department stores are deserted. In the clothing business district of Muxiyuan, South 3rd Ring Road in Beijing, there are no more clothing stores. The place called Heshen Plaza was built later. I used to visit Fuhai International a few years ago. There's this large bronze bull sculpture in the plaza. It can be said that after living in Beijing for so many years, we've truly witnessed how prosperous this place used to be. Now the buildings are still there, but it's like a ghost town.
In a country with a population of 1.4 billion, where have all the people gone? What should we do with our physical stores? At Beijing International Airport, there's not a single person in the duty-free shops. The customs officers are lazy, and you could hardly see anyone in an hour. Customs clearance, inbound and outbound passenger flows, none. Flights from the UK and the US to China are mostly empty. Let me show you the departure lounge. It's quite large. It's shocking. Not a single person is there, except for a few on duty. My goodness, I couldn't have imagined this before.
On January 25th, an article titled "Beijing Has Never Been So Bleak" circulated on WeChat. It describes the city as closed off, devoid of vitality, and lacking opportunities across various industries like technology, education, finance, culture, foreign investment, and tourism. The article laments that in the past, Tiananmen Square had no barriers and people could take close-up photos of the buildings there. Now, everything is fenced off. Additionally, many places in Beijing have been artificially divided, such as schools. They used to be symbols of openness, but now places like Tsinghua University, Peking University, and all levels of schools are no longer freely accessible. Previously, Shanlingtun was the icon of fashion and nightlife in Beijing and even China, with various restaurants, celebrities, and film crews. Now, they are nowhere to be seen. Even the superficial prosperity is gone. Rural markets in fifth-tier cities have more people than Shanlingtun. The piece reflects on Beijing's economic decline, noting the downturn in sectors like technology, finance, education, culture, foreign investment, and tourism. It highlights the dwindling number of foreigners and the overall lack of street activity, particularly at night. The article states that Beijing's economy used to be strong. The internet technology industry is in Haidian, but now it's not doing well. The financial district is in Xichen, but under strict regulations, this area has died out. The education industry also concentrates in Haidian, and now it's said to be the worst hit industry. The cultural industry, such as film, music, art, and media, gathers in Chaoyang, but now only half-hearted efforts remain. The once strong foreign investment areas was in Chaoyang, but everyone knows the situation of foreign investment in China in recent years. Finally, the last invisible one is tourism, but now people don't prefer to come to Beijing anymore. This article has since been deleted and it cannot be found on Weibo. The Beijing Desolation article has also sparked discussions among many overseas Chinese people from Platform X, with some sharing their first-hand experiences. One person commented, "I returned to Beijing at the end of October, and the desolation and decline shocked me. I've been living in Yong'anli Middle Street across Xiushui Street and Chang'an Street for over 10 years. When I returned to Beijing this time, I specifically went to Middle Street, but found that the entire Yong'anli Middle Street was deserted. The Pukelong supermarket, rice shops, fruit shops, hair salons, vegetable stores, and meat pie shops, which had been open for over 20 years, were all closed. The once glorious Li Ka-shing Oriental Plaza in Wangfujing has turned into a grocery store." Another person posted, "I never expected that Zhongguan village in Beijing would be so desolate after 10 years. I went to Haidian for an interview today, and the prosperity I remembered is gone. Few people are seen buying things outside the subway station. Many shops have closed down. Carrefour and Shibao Street are gone. Only a few snack bars and convenience stores are left." Beijing resident Mr. Long told foreign media on January 26, "Beijing used to be bustling, but now it's deserted. There are very few people on the streets. Many stores are closed, and there are few people in the restaurants. About 5 or 6 years ago, there were usually over a dozen people waiting at the bus stops on Tiananmen Square and Chang'an Street, and that was considered few. Now it seems like I'm the only one at this bus stop, and several stops don't have anyone. During commuting hours, there are no people. It's particularly desolate. Due to economic downturn and slowing business activities, the vacancy rate of high-end office buildings in Beijing continues to soar. Zhongguan Village is a representative area for Beijing's high-tech enterprises, but has seen many businesses close down due to financial difficulties. Many offices and storefronts are empty."
Office rents in Beijing have started to decline. In Beijing's financial street, rents have dropped by around 30 to 40% from their peak levels. This decrease is quite significant. It's not just the financial street. Rents in places like Wanjing and Guomao District have also seen significant reductions, with some nearly halved. Let's look at a few examples. Yinglang International Financial Center in Beijing dropped from 28 yuan per square meter in 2022 to 19 yuan now. Excel Center decreased from 24 to 11 yuan. Wanjing Soho went from 7 yuan to 3.5 yuan. Impali International Plaza, which was 13 yuan in 2022, is now around 6 yuan.
Recent data from several market institutions show that office vacancy rates in Beijing remain high. Data from global real estate service provider Savills shows that as of the fourth quarter of 2023, the vacancy rate for Grade A office buildings in Beijing reached 20.4%, the first time it has exceeded 20% in recent years. According to a report global real estate service company JLL, in the fourth quarter of 2023, the office vacancy rate in Beijing remained high, increasing by 0.7% to 11.8%, the highest since 2023. China's Caixin reported that the office vacancy rate in Beijing has been rising since the fourth quarter of 2021, reaching a new high in nearly 13 years while rents have been declining. Li Juan, managing director of Beijing branch of Colliers International, stated that if the vacancy rate remains at 20%, there's little chance of a rebound in average rents. The longer the higher vacancy rate persists, the greater the downward pressure on rents. The central rental price is expected to continue to decline in 2024. As an economic barometer, office vacancy rates, rental levels, and leasing companies are important indicators of economic trends. It's important to note that this is Beijing, a place where various corporate headquarters are concentrated. Compared to other parts of the country, its resilience is relatively strong. If office rents in Beijing have plummeted to this extent, office rental conditions in other parts of the country can only be worse. The rental market in Beijing has cooled significantly, feeling almost frozen. Even landlords in Shanlingtun have struggled to find tenants. One property owner mentioned that his two-bedroom apartment, only 100 meters from the subway, remained vacant for 2 months. In the past, such a property would have been snapped up immediately. After finally finding new tenants, his landlord had to reduce the rent by 200 yuan to show sincerity. Landlords in Sanlingtun say they never imagined a day where their properties would remain vacant. With the economy continuing to falter, people's incomes decreasing, and consumer spending weakening, a vicious cycle has formed. Many economists believe that China's 40-year economic growth cycle is basically over and that it will enter a period of depression in the future. However, the Chinese government is vigorously promoting the bright economic theory through its propaganda machinery. Some people commented a giant ship, almost 95% of its power is spent on tooting its own horn. In previous years, we could describe it as being critically ill, but now it's being kept a secret. More and more people openly criticize Xi Jinping for his ignorance and incompetence, politicizing everything, personally directing and ruining the Chinese economy. Instead of achieving his touted prosperous society, he's making all citizens poorer. Professor Xie Tian from University of South Carolina, Aiken said, the CCP absolutely does not dare to relax its political control. In other words, it is even less willing to revive the economy through structural reform. The CCP refuses to reverse the economic downturn, starting from itself. As the day goes by, life is likely to become increasingly difficult. If the people lose trust in the government, they will inevitably have to tighten their belts to make ends meet.